Hello, and welcome to Under a Rock with Brielle and Guerlain. This is our first podcast.
Yep.
It's very exciting.
First episode.
So, the way that this podcast works is we're basically going to be talking about shows and movies from our childhood, specifically things that make us nostalgic, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it from more of a adult standpoint, not necessarily like talking about like sexy stuff, but talking about it as older people looking back. But the catch is, or the trick is, that one of us has not seen the media. So you get the two different perspectives. You get the person looking back in nostalgic and nostalgic feelings, and you get the person who's brand new to the media. And this whole thing kind of started because Avatar: The Last Airbender came onto Netflix.
Yep.
And I watched it and I fell in love, and we started talking about it at our job, and you were like, "Hey, let's start a podcast."
Let's just do it.
So what we're going to do is we're basically going to talk about a whole Avatar: The Last Airbender series. We're going to go 3 episodes per like podcast episode and just talk about it and explore and just be cool and chill. And I'm Brielle.
And I'm Guerlain.
And we're really excited for you to take this journey with us.
Yeah.
This is going to be fun. This is definitely a little hobby labor of love project that we're doing. So I'm excited.
A little passion project.
Yeah, exactly. We're just 2 people in a bedroom, doing this.
A very nice, well-built studio bedroom.
Yeah.
Created by me. So
Yeah. Yeah, people who are watching the video they'll see how cool your bedroom is with the cool lights and everything.
Yep. So should we just jump right into it?
Yeah, let's jump right into it. Let's jump right into Avatar: The Last Airbender.
The Boy in the Iceberg.
Yeah.
Chapter 1.
Yeah, I have notes.
So let me ask you. So when you first dived into Avatar and this episode plays, it plays the whole intro.
Yeah.
How does it start? Is this Earth, dun, dun, fire?
Wait, does it start with water? Does it start with water?
It does start with water.
Okay, yeah. Like we're so bad.
But, so water.
Yeah. Earth, fire, air. Long ago, the 4 nations lived in harmony.
So how did you take that intro when it was explaining everything?
Well, the thing that you have to understand about Avatar is that when it came out when we were kids, I knew about it. I knew about the show. I actually very distinctly remember watching the first episode as a kid, but then like after that I wasn't able to watch any other episodes because it was a mixture of like it didn't really interest me, and I think I had like something that I did on the nights that it aired, so I just couldn't watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember that episode, and I remember being like, oh, this is kind of a cool show, but then it kind of faded away into my memory as other stuff happened. So watching it now and listening to that opening monologue, which is different from the rest of the show because
Right.
it's setting up the world, is so cool because it really sets you up for an epic. Because that's what this show is at its core. It's an epic. It's a story of someone's journey to defeat evil. And the show, I think, does such a great job of doing that. And I think one of the reasons that it does such a good job at that is the music. And I'm sure I'm going to bring this up throughout our talks about this show.
Mm-hmm.
But the music in this show is so good. Like it really, really helps set the mood and kind of give you a sense of place and give you a sense of scope and scale for the various things. And so yeah, when that opening monologue started, when I was like laying down in my bed and watching it, I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good.
So then after that we meet Katara and Sokka.
Yeah,
They were going fishing.
they were
right?
going fishing.
And Katara caught a fish with water bending while Sokka was trying to do it traditionally. And what happened? They got into each other's way. They both lose the fish. He's like, I'm tired of you and your magic water
Yeah.
doing all this magic stuff. And she complains about his dirty socks. And because of his dirty socks, we found the avatar.
I know, isn't that so funny? Like the whole thing, like you could set up like dominoes, and it would start with Sokka being a sexist jerk, and ending with like Aang defeating Ozai and peace returning to the world. Like all because Sokka's a jerk. But that brings up actually a really interesting point, and something I wanted to talk about, which is the way that the show introduces characters is like chef's kiss. Like obviously, like as we go through the series and we meet more characters, I'll probably bring this up again, but the way that we're introduced to characters is so good, because Katara we're introduced to by her waterbending and, you know, her getting, you know, angry and passionate, and we see her, you know, wonder at the world and her kind of overarching sense of like good, like she knows that there's good in the world.
Right.
With Sokka, we're shown like that he's kind of a jerk. He's a bit overprotective. He's a little too serious. But I think that sets him up for his eventual character arc and his eventual character growth. And Aang, we're introduced by him going, "Do you want to go penguin sledding with me?" which is so cute. Like that's who Aang is at his very core. He's just a kid, and I just love that the way that the show introduces characters, especially as like we go through the show and we meet more characters. It's really great, I think, character introductions, because I think the show always does a really good job of reminding us that these are children. And I think it comes from a mix of the writing as well as the voice acting.
Voice acting is amazing.
Oh yeah. Especially like as they start to really like get a feel for their characters. Oh, it's so good. And then we meet Zuko, our little drama king, our little drama prince.
The brooding teenage prince and his very wise uncle.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I was when I was rewatching it last night to like write down my notes, I was watching it with my mom, and she was like, "Why do I get the feeling that Iroh knows more than he lets on?" I was like, "'Cause he does, Mom. He knows everything." Wait till the end. Wait till you see.
Being the easygoing uncle is just his disguise.
Yeah. I mean, I think he is easygoing. I don't think that's a lie. But it definitely, I think his hiding, I think he definitely pretends to be dumber than he is, because, you know, he you know what it is? It's so funny to me. He prescribes by a certain life motto that I actually prescribe to. Not all the time, but that I prescribe to, which is play dumb. Because you'd be surprised at what people will do for you or tell you if you play dumb. So yeah, I prescribe to that sometimes. The thing that's so funny to me is that like you kind of have to think about like Zuko. Like he's been on this boat for 2 years trying to find the Avatar, who for all intents and purposes is dead. Like no one's seen this Avatar. All the airbenders are gone from what, you know, we know. And, you know, like he must know like deep down in his heart that this is hopeless, that this is all just a wild goose chase. And that's sad. That just makes me sad.
It is sad, but I don't believe that deep down inside he believes it's hopeless. Like he wants his honors back so badly. He wants the love of his father so badly that it's possible. Is even though, yes, on paper we haven't seen the Avatar in 100 years, and now you're on the search for a being that we haven't seen for 100 years. Yes, on paper it is hopeless, but it's just my father told me that this is the only way that I could gain his respect, gain his love, get my honor back. I'm gonna believe it.
I mean, that does make sense. When you're 16, you're kind of hard-headed. And I think, I mean, especially at the beginning, he's so hyper-focused. You know, he's really hyper-focused. I can't imagine, like, what was Zuko expecting? He must have been expecting an old man. He says that he's expecting an old man, like, oh, quite agile for his age. Like, can you just imagine Zuko coming on the scene like, "What up? I'm 16. I got no depth perception, and I'm gonna fight an old man."
He was gonna do it.
He was gonna do it.
Not even fight. If anything, he was gonna have his uncle fight the Avatar.
Yeah.
But the whole quest was to bring the Avatar
That's true,
to the
yeah.
Fire Nation
Yeah.
to, I guess Ozai was gonna kill him.
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
Yeah. I imagine that, like, well, I imagine that Ozai didn't have a plan because I don't think he believed that the
yeah.
Avatar was back. I think he was just like, go, Zuko, get out of here.
Die out there.
Yeah. And so I think if Zuko had brought back the Avatar, child or old man, I think that Ozai probably just would have killed him.
Yeah.
He probably would have tried to kill him in the Avatar state so that it would end the cycle. But yeah, he probably just would have killed him.
Was that public knowledge though? I don't know if everyone knew that.
I know we're getting a bit ahead of the episodes that we're on, but Azula knew. Right? Didn't Azula knew when she shot lightning at him?
I think she just did it.
Oh, you think she just did it?
She just did it just to
I mean,
do it.
maybe it's not common knowledge. Maybe Aang says it to Katara, and I just took it into my brain as like everyone knows that.
The audience obviously knew.
Yeah,
but that was from Roku and.
Yeah. Okay, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. That's like a later episode.
So Appa jumps and he does not fly.
No, he doesn't.
He swims.
I love Appa so much. I love Appa so much. Let me see. I wrote down. You want to know what I wrote down?
What's that?
I don't need any calming tea. He's such a drama queen. I love Zuko. I love him so much. Zuko. Okay, and then I guess we can go to like book 1, episode 2, because it's kind of like
the same thing.
It's just at this point, the Fire Nation is coming to the Southern Water Tribe because they saw they set off the flare. Which is so interesting to me that like no one had explored that ship before. I was like watching it and I was thinking like that's kind of weird, like because the ship has been there since Gran was a little girl, which is like at least like 60, 70 years.
Right.
And you're telling me in that whole time, no Water Tribe boy trying to be buff and strong and brave didn't like go and explore it? Like,
I think it was probably like common knowledge to stay away from that ship because you don't know what's on it. Like even Katara said when they jumped on the ship was they might be booby traps.
Yeah.
It's like they all had this in their head. And another thing that I liked about the ship was the fact that it was so ominous and mysterious. Like, how did the ship end up here? And then we don't find out until like until book 3 how that ship ended up the way it did.
Oh yeah.
I thought just the world building of this show is done so well.
Oh yeah.
Like you can tell everything was planned out from the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Like there was nothing that they just dropped in there. Like, hey, let's just like every single detail was planned out. I love it.
I think that's the mark of good showrunners because it really shows a level of care and a level of consideration for the fans that they had a plan. Now, obviously, you know, I'm sure things changed. I'm sure that like, you know, maybe they scrapped a storyline here or there, or they added something as they went along. But the overall story, like this is where the characters start and this is where they end up, was from the very beginning, and you can tell. And you can tell because, like you said, of the care and the planning that they put into it. And, you know, it shows. It really shows in their work.
And I just love it because when things are set up that way, you could go crazy with the foreshadow. And they did.
They really did, yeah.
They used it so well.
Yeah, they really, really did.
So
a lot of the like insinuations that people make and the things they say, you know, it's a callback, you know, when you watch later episodes. Something that I really, really like about the second episode is showing the juxtaposition between Zuko getting ready to fight in the battle, I say with air quotes, versus Sokka getting ready. Because, you know, Sokka and Zuko are like the same age. I think Sokka's maybe like sort of a year younger, but they're both like 15, 16. And,
right.
You know, Zuko is a prince, and you can tell that he's a prince, even though he's a banished prince, because people put on his armor, you know, people help him get ready. And he kind of is just there. He's kind of just like, and I'm putting on my armor now. Got to fight this water tribe and this like 100-year-old man. Okay. Whereas Sokka like puts on his war paint and he does everything himself, and it's all very much handmade. And you realize that the motivations between Zuko and Sokka are so different. Because Zuko, all he wants is the Avatar. He's not really there to like raise the place to the ground. But Sokka, he's defending his entire tribe, which is, only like maybe 30 people, and most of them are women and children. But he's, I think, preparing to, possibly die. He has to think about that while he's getting ready. And it's just very interesting to think about the differences between these two boys who ostensibly aren't that different after all.
Right.
Both of them, as we find out later, have very similar home structures, not lives, but home structures. And, so I think it's really interesting, even this early, to see the juxtaposition between them, and see their motivations.
That's interesting that you brought that up.
Yeah.
And they're technically both doing it for their dads.
Yeah.
Because Zuko doing it to regain his honor,
Mm-hmm.
and Sokka's doing it because he is essentially the man of the tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Since all the men went out to fight the war,
Yeah.
Sokka is the only one. Like, we see him trying to train the
Little
toddlers.
kids.
Yeah,
I have to pee.
he's trying to train them because Sokka has seen it. He's seen the black soot. Right, the soot.
It's like ash. Yeah.
He's
Smoke
seen
mixed with snow. Yeah.
the black snow that they will call it. He's been through it. His mother was killed because of it.
Yeah.
Like, he has this in his head, like he has to be ready. His dad is now gone and essentially left him to be in charge of everything.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah, because if you think about it, Zuko really hasn't seen the war.
No.
He's been on a boat for 2 years. Maybe he's seen a battle, maybe, but he is kind of removed from the war, from the carnage that the Fire Nation brings. But Sokka isn't. He's seen battles, he's seen fights, he's seen people die, and I think that really, makes their motivations for getting ready for this fight very different. And I like the way that it's juxtaposed, like Zuko putting on his helmet versus Sokka putting on his war paint and everything.
And then they have a fight.
Yeah, right.
If you want to call it that.
Zuko sweeps the floor with him.
Nope, but then Boomerang comes back.
Boomerang comes back.
Boomerang
That's true.
comes back.
Trusty Boomerang.
Yes.
That's something else I wanted to bring up, and I'll definitely bring it up later in there's a specific episode where I know that I'll mention it.
Mm-hmm.
But I like on this show that nobody is free from mockery, and I don't mean that in a mean way, but I mean that in the way that nobody is too high on a pedestal to be, made fun of, to have a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Like Zuko gets hit in the back of the head with his boomerang, and the whole time we've met him, he's been very serious and very stoic and very very broody, and then he gets hit in the back of the head with a boomerang and he falls down and he falls on his face and his butt's in the air. That's funny,
Yeah.
and I think that's so important. I mean, yes, it's a kid's show, so you don't really expect it to go dark, that particular way. But I love the fact that everyone is human in the show, nobody is too powerful or too godlike or too smart or too good to be, brought down a peg. And I like that. I think that's important.
Right.
Aang
comes back. Aang comes back. He saves the village.
Because he's a good boy.
He's a good boy, and he's revealed to be the Avatar.
Yeah.
Something that he did not tell Katara or
He's
Sokka in the beginning.
He's like, I knew the Avatar, which is, a loophole, but
Being that he's the only airbender.
yeah.
And so he goes, they essentially captured the Avatar, even though he was pretty much just playing them.
Yeah.
Since he escaped immediately.
Yeah.
Sokka and Katara, now they're onto their journey. Gran recognizes this.
Oh, yeah.
I love Gran.
Yeah, she's a good character. She's fun.
We didn't get enough of her.
Yeah. It's so interesting to me because that Gran knows that this is not an ordinary field trip. This is not, Katara and Sokka aren't going to take him to the northern water tribe and be done.
Right.
She knows that she may not see her grandkids again, and she knows that they're starting their quest. This is the beginning of their journey, and I think that's really cool. And she's like, and here's some sleeping bags.
And then they're off.
Yeah. Aang is captured by the Fire Nation with Zuko on his ship. And Katara and Sokka have to go get him. Let me just make sure that I didn't forget anything.
They find Appa.
Oh, okay. So this is something that I want to bring up. And I'm definitely going to bring this up later on because there's more examples of it, especially like in the 4th episode with Kyoshi Island. But Zuko, from the very beginning, I think the showrunners, the writers, I think they were really smart in that they did not make him as big of a jerk as he could have been. And what I mean is, yes, he is the Fire Nation. Yes, he's the antagonist. And yes, for the first, season and a half, he is the main bad guy. But compared to other people in the Fire Nation, he is not the biggest threat and he is not the worst person. Like, he comes to the Southern Water Tribe and he wants to capture the Avatar. And Aang says, well, if I go with you, will you leave them alone? And he says yes. And then he does that. I don't know if another Fire Nation soldier or general would do that. I mean, the Southern Water Tribe is basically defenseless. All they have is Sokka. I mean, I'm sure some of the women can fight, but like all they have is Sokka. He could have easily, without breaking a sweat, just decimated everyone. He would have, and it wouldn't have been a bad thing. I mean, I'm sure his father wouldn't have cared. I'm sure his father would be like, "Hey, good job." But he doesn't. And throughout the series, we're shown examples of Zuko being not a nice guy, but he never goes as evil as he could as other characters go. And I think that's important because it sets it up from the beginning that he has the ability and he has the possibility of redemption. And I think that's really smart.
That is smart. I didn't even catch on to that.
Yeah, he's you know what it is, because like you said, his only goal is to capture the Avatar. He doesn't care about anything else. So like, I guess a normal person would be like, yeah, well then why would he destroy the Southern Water Tribe? But a Fire Nation general would. He doesn't, and I think that's important.
That is important.
Yeah.
They're planting the seeds.
Yeah, they're planting the seeds.
And these are things obviously went over my head as a kid, but rewatching it still went over my head. That's cool that you picked that up, man.
Yeah. And then we go into episode 3, which is the Southern Air Temple.
Oh no, wait. We're not gonna talk about like the amazing when Aang for the first time entered the Avatar state.
Oh yeah. Wait, is that? Yeah, that is episode 2.
Episode 2.
Oh my god, that was really cool.
He started water bending and everyone's like, whoa. and Zuko realizes that even though he has finally found the Avatar, that's not going to be as easy as he probably thought it would be.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Because, you think... Because at first he said he's probably a 100-year-old man, knows all the elements.
Yeah.
Sees him, finds out he's just a little kid.
Yeah. You're just a kid. Well, you're just a teenager.
Doesn't take him seriously. He's like, okay, this is not as big as a threat as I thought. Captured him, he escapes. Okay, he even says it once they're in his quarters. I underestimated you. Something I won't do again.
Yeah.
And then obviously Aang mops the floor with him, like airbends him into the wall.
Ooh, can we talk about that? Can we talk about how Aang's fighting style is mostly defensive, not offensive?
Let's do it.
Yeah. I just obviously, like, you see more as he gets into fights, but even from the very beginning, it seems like Aang and airbending in general seems to be more of an offensive, a defensive fighting style. They don't strike first.
It's very evasive.
Yeah, it's very evasive, trying not to do so much damage, a lot of just like swinging around, a lot of fluidity that you would expect with air, and I just think that's really interesting. And again, it adds to the world building that this is how firebenders fight and this is how airbenders fight. And I don't know, it makes the fight scenes really captivating to watch because instead of just people throwing punch after punch after punch, you get a lot of, acrobatics and, grace, and it's cool. It's really fun to watch. I will say I do enjoy watching the fight scenes.
And again, evading on the air scooter.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
I also love when he's in the ship and he like opens the door and then Iroh's sleeping and he's like, sorry.
And of course, Ira will be sleeping.
Yeah. But
during all this
I
is going
love
on.
Aang. He's such a good kid. And he's such a kid. Like, I just love that. I think it's so funny to me.
So
Yeah, but that when he first kind of goes into the avatar state, that is really cool. And you're absolutely right that I think that's the final bit of proof that my phone keeps vibrating. I hope it doesn't show up on the tape.
Yeah.
That's like the first kind of proof that this is the avatar. He's back. The avatar is back, you know.
and even Katara gets a little bit of action.
Yeah.
Even though she messed up the first time and
Yeah.
froze Sokka's leg. Katara as he hacks. But no, it's like this whole that whole episode was showing the potential that both Aang and Katara had
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
as benders.
Yeah.
You know,
It's so great. It's so great to like watch the show and Katara being like, "Oh, I want to go to the North Pole to like get a water bending teacher and be like they're going to be a master." And I'm like, "But you're going to be a master. You're going to be like the greatest water bender ever, Katara. You just don't know it yet."
it's amazing, man.
You know.
And then we get that punch gut line of, "Why didn't you tell us you was the Avatar?" Because I never wanted to be. And it's such a beautiful shot. They're in the clouds. It's sunset. They're floating and everything. And I just love how this show uses silence.
Yeah.
They use silence so well.
Yeah.
It's like you would think after that. So after that line that that would be it.
Mm-hmm.
Like essentially, because that's how it kind of felt. He says, "I never wanted to be." It's quiet, clouds flowing and everything. And usually it was a stop there, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like they kept going with it. It's like you took in the shock the same time that Sokka and Katara took that shock.
Yeah.
They're just taking it in.
Yeah.
And then Katara, being the optimist that she is, was like, "Well, you're the Avatar and we can help you.
Yeah.
Let's go to the North Pole.
Yeah. It's going to be fine.
Let's do this." And then to get Sokka on board, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to hit some fire benders on their head. It's like, I like that. I like that very much. It's just,
Yeah.
such a good start.
Yeah,
you know?
I think the show really handles those emotional punches really well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's really good about that because at the end of all this, it is a kid show. So you can't, I mean, you can, I guess no one can stop you from going too dark, but it never goes, hold on a second. I'm sorry. Like, I just have to like, I'm gonna like turn my phone off because I'm terrified that like you're gonna be able to hear those beeps. Of course, like, you know, when I want something to do, none of my friends ever message me. But of course, when I'm doing something important, they're like, anyway, I'm sorry, tangent. No, but I think the way that the show handles the emotional punches and the emotional core is really, really well done. Because there's a lot of sad stuff in the show, especially when you stop and think about it. And at the end of the day, it's a kid's show, and they manage to do it in such a nice way where it never gets too sad. And there's always like a levity to it, and I like that.
And then we go to episode 3.
Yeah, which is like the sad episode.
The sad episode. It hits you right off the bat. Like, this show does not hold any punches.
No, it really doesn't. It really doesn't hold anything back when it comes to, I think, the way that it portrays the consequences of war, which is like crazy because this is a kid's show.
Yeah.
Like the way that they show the after effects of war and of conquest is so well done. Like, it's so well done because not only do we see that in like Katara and Sokka's tribe because it's so small, all of the men are gone and there's so little people and they live in like huts and tents. But then when we get to the air temple and it's empty, this like once beautiful, proud, expansive area is just empty of everything. There's not even like plants, you know, and oh gosh, you know, it's sad.
And they try to tell Aang that airbenders haven't been seen for the last 100 years. You know, he goes to his home. As you said, everything's all quiet.
Yeah. Man. Moment of silence for all the airbenders lost.
R.I.P. Man.
It is really cool though because, you know, the way that the air temple is animated, is drawn, is really interesting, because you see not only the destruction like that would come from firebenders, but you also see just like age, like things crumbling naturally because of age, or like things overrun because of age, and then there's like a helmet like half melted into the stone. So I think that's really cool, the way that they like animated and drew that. And then like while they're at the air temple, we meet Commander Zhao. Admiral Zhao. Gotta give him his respect, even though he doesn't deserve it.
Wait, was he he was admiral during this episode? Wait, what's above an admiral?
I don't. Well, I would.
Because when he got promoted, what did he get promoted to?
Maybe it was admiral. Maybe he was like general and then he became an admiral, because I believe an admiral is above general. It's a little weird, because it's like the Fire Nation has a navy, and I think they also have ground troops. So like, because there's no admirals in the army, they're only in the navy. So I don't. Commander? Is he Commander Zhao?
Maybe he's general.
General Zhao? Oh. Anyway, Zhao.
Joe.
Joe, yeah, good old Joe. Not only is he voiced by Jason Isaacs, which is a fun little fact. I love that. I was watching the show with my mom, and I was like, "Hey, Mom, know who that is?" And she's like, "Who?" And I was like, "That's Lucius Malfoy."
Who that?
Lucius Malfoy from Harry Potter, Draco's dad.
Oh, I don't watch Harry Potter.
Oh. Good thing we have this podcast. No. The guy who voices Zhao is Jason Isaacs, who was I guess maybe not most known for, but one of his more well-known roles is Lucius Malfoy in the Harry Potter movies. He's actually a British actor, and they had him do an American accent for this show. I have like a lot of trivia about this, but like basically what happened was Jason Isaacs was in a movie. I don't remember the movie. I'm sure someone will tell me, but he was in a movie where he played like a general of an army. I think it was like a Revolutionary War movie, like about America. And the creators were like, "Oh man, that is such a great character. We got to get someone who sounds like that to play Zhao." And then I don't know how they got Jason Isaacs' phone number. Maybe they knew someone, but they're like, "Hey, want to do this?" And he was like, "Yeah." And that's how they got him. They wanted someone who sounded like him, and then they just got him.
Honestly, going back to the voice acting, this show was able to get a lot of good people.
Oh, yeah.
And some no. I mean, first of all, even though we don't hear his voice until wait, it is this episode. Is this episode that we heard Ozai's voice for the first time, right? Like
No.
during the flashback?
I don't think so.
This is not where Zuko and Zhao did the Agni Kai? It's not this
Yeah,
episode?
it is. But I don't think
We didn't show the flashback in this one?
I don't think so. I don't remember that. I don't think you hear Ozai's voice until the flashback episode, like
Right.
where you learn about Zuko Scar.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm jumping ahead again.
Yeah.
Um,
No spoilers.
But all right, so spoiler warning.
Yeah.
If you're watching this, if you're listening to this podcast and watching after at the same time, I don't know why, but
Yeah.
in case you are, they have freaking Mark Hamill
I know.
as Ozai.
I know.
Like, dude, what?
Yeah, they get a lot of
They
really
get
good
a
people.
lot of good people.
They get like George Takei in a later episode. They have like Serena Williams.
So with
Even just like, Mako as Uncle Iroh. He's like a very well-respected. Well, he was R.I.P. He was a very respected actor in his time, and
Mako.
they got some really good people to do this, which is, I think, speaks to the quality of the show and what messages they were trying to.
Dude, my mind was blown when I found out that Iroh had the same voice as Aku from Samurai Jack.
Oh yeah,
I was like, what? Man, Mako was great.
yeah,
He was great, and he was Master Splinter in
yeah, that too. How fun.
in the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Yeah, voice acting is great. But so they
Anyway, Zhao.
so we meet Zhao.
Yeah, and it's so funny, like watching this show. No one in this show has more than one brain cell. Everyone in this show is just so like they all have one brain cell, and occasionally they like share it and they give it to other people. Like the whole like, "Uncle, tell Zhao what we were doing." What were we doing, nephew? Like it was just, it's very funny.
Didn't get the story straight.
Yeah, that's like the first rule, man. I tell you. What else did I write? Yeah, I literally wrote, no one on this show has more than one brain cell. They just pass it around. um, but that's what I mean. Like, cause we see Zuko compared to Zhao, and Zhao is way eviler than Zuko. Like, Zhao would have decimated the Water Tribe.
Yeah, without a
And
doubt.
I think that's important, that we're constantly shown Zuko compared to other people in the Fire Nation who are worse than him. I think that's important. Anyway.
And then we go back to the Air Temple.
Yep.
They try to cheer Aang up since
Yeah.
they haven't found any airbenders by what was the game that it was called?
I don't know if it
Had a
Airball. I
name?
think it was just like
Airball?
Airball. Yeah.
And he just
You,
decimated Sokka.
yeah, because you can't play if you're not an airbender.
Right. That wasn't really fair, but
Yeah.
Sokka was being a good sport about it.
He was.
And then-
I love like his relationship with Aang in the first couple of episodes because it's very much like begrudging. Like he's only going along with this so he could protect Katara, but he's like, I don't like this kid.
Yeah.
I don't like this kid, and then they end up like best friends. And then you see Monkiatso, and I love the little glimpse that were shown of Aang's past with Monkiatso, because we're shown that the Airbenders are such a light people. Like they're so, like, yes, they are spiritual, and that's very important, and we get hints of that with Aang when we see his tattoos and things like that. But the Airbenders really bring a sense of levity to the world, and that's kind of Aang's role in the group. I feel like throughout the show, like, yeah, I think Sokka is like the funniest character because he just says funny things, but I think the character who provides the most levity is Aang.
Right.
And because I think so much of being an airbender is being like very open to humor and to fun and to light and to life, and when the Fire Nation destroyed the airbenders, I think the world lost that, and I think that's why, you know, when Aang is like, I want to go penguin sledding and I want to ride a koi fish and I want to do this and I want to do that, Katara and Sokka are like, what?
Sure. I guess.
We got work to do, but okay, like, you know. Let's talk about Aang's trauma.
Ooh.
Let's talk.
Is there a lot
Let's
in there?
talk about it. Okay.
He sees Gyatso's skeleton.
Yeah. Oh, but actually, I do want to talk about that. So he goes into the room and he sees Monkiatso's skeleton with the ropes, and then he sees all the Fire Nation soldiers around him, right?
Can we talk about that? Monkey Gyatso was a badass, bro.
That's-
he took them all down.
Yeah, that's
Get
what
outta
I'm getting
here.
at, because Monkiatso's clothing was not burned.
No.
So how did he kill those firebenders? What I think,
Ooh. We got
what
a
I
theory.
think
We
is,
got our first theory.
and this is kind of implied by Legend of Korra.
Mhm.
What I think is he took the oxygen out of the room. I think he sacrificed himself and took the oxygen out of the room, because you can't have fire without oxygen.
Yo.
Because if the fire like benders that had surrounded him had like attacked him, his clothes would have been burned, the bones would have been charred. I mean, obviously maybe they didn't draw it, but his wardrobe was pretty intact except
Yeah.
for like the natural wear and tear of age. I think he like sucked all the oxygen out of the room and just killed them all. He was like, I'm gonna die, I might as well take them all down with me.
You're blowing my mind right now. Wait, tell me, you watch Korra? Or you
I
just
haven't
seen-
I haven't watched Korra, but I have seen a lot of clips. And I do know that that is something that airbenders can do in that series. So there's no, I mean, I'm pretty sure that Monkiatso would be able to do that too, because the airbenders in Korra are able to do it with very little training from like years and years and years of airbenders. So I'm sure Monkiatso knows how to do it.
Oh, you were spoiled for Korra already.
Sorry, I know things.
All right, it's cool. It's cool.
But yeah, but that's what I think happened. And I think that's like, whoa.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Listen, when all this was going on, so what, circa 2005, I wasn't on any forums yet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was, but I was Ben 10. But that's a different story. I wasn't on any forums. Like, I didn't read into things because viewing it as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't the sense of dread and misery. It completely missed me.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw Gyatso's skeleton, I didn't think anything of it.
Right.
I was just like, oh, like, to be honest with you, I probably asked who was that, even though he was introduced. So talking about it now, rewatching everything
Yeah.
and seeing the things that I missed, it's just like, wow, this show really was trying at least to introduce kids to like showing like you said, Aang is the levity of the show.
Mm-hmm.
He is literally the audience.
Yeah.
Everything is fun going. Everything is exciting. But then to be hit with something so real, so dreadful.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm pretty sure a kid that probably lost a parent or a grandparent at that time, probably it resonated big with them.
Mm-hmm.
Me, it was just like cool show, you know. But that's just
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what's so good about it, because like on multiple levels you get different emotions. Like when you were a kid, I'm sure you were like, oh, that's so sad. Like Aang, his like father figure is dead. Like, oh, that's so sad. And obviously for me it was sad, but I kind of noticed that, and that was really interesting to me. So like another thing and this could be me reading into it from my own bias, but so I am Jewish, and I know that the show is based around Asian cultures, and obviously Asian people have suffered their own kind of wars and, you know, diasporas and things like that. But seeing Aang deal with not only the loss of his people but the loss of his culture really like resonated with me as a Jewish person, because so much, I mean, obviously like there are still Jews in the world, but like, you know, so much of my culture is gone. You know, so many people are gone. And so I think that idea of being the last of something, or to have your culture and your way of life disappear in a matter of seconds, I think would have resonated with a lot of kids. You know, not even just Jewish kids, but any kind of child who maybe was the child of immigrants, or, you know, maybe came from a diaspora culture, or is even a minority in some way, I feel like would be able to understand Aang's pain on some kind of level. Or if not Aang's pain, Katara and Sokka's pain on some kind of level. And I think that's why the show was and continues to be so popular, you know?
It was ahead of its time,
Yeah.
definitely.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
That's a good point.
That's just me inserting Judaism into everything that I watch. Yeah, but like, how sad is that? Like, really, like, because he doesn't know that he's been asleep for 100 years.
No.
Like, he thinks it's a couple of days. And
Right.
so for him to, you know, go into the iceberg when everything's somewhat okay, and then wake up and have nothing. Nothing is there, you know. Oh, my heart, Aang. And then he goes into the avatar state again, and it's just so sad. And, you know,
I think that is done really well. That every time Aang enters the avatar state in rage, Katara is always the one to pull him out.
yes, yeah. It really shows their bond and the love that they have for each other. Whether you choose to believe that as a friendship, family, or romantic love, it really does show the love that they have for each other. That she is able to not only be brave enough to go to him in the avatar state, but that he listens to her in the avatar state. And I think that's really cool.
It's done very well.
Yeah. And then we have Momo in a complete shift of mood.
Wait, before we jump to Momo,
Okay,
we're
I'm
also
sorry. I got excited. I like Momo.
we're also introducing to Avatar Roku in this episode.
Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. I totally forgot about all the statues and stuff.
I thought that was done pretty cool.
Yeah.
And how Aang was just like, so the whole the whole segue that they did to like get to this point of the episode was Gyatso told Aang that when he's ready, that he will meet someone behind the door that needs to be airbended open.
Yeah.
And at first it's just like, well, who could be behind this door that's still alive 100 years
Yeah.
later? And it's just like, well, I survived 100 years later in Iceberg. It was like, yeah, good point. So he opens the doors, nothing but statues of all the past avatars. Just the way, and it goes back to how they introduce characters, how they had Aang stare at the statue of Roku for so long, and then you could feel this eeriness. And he just knew that Roku was the person that he needed to speak to.
Yeah.
And then it introduces the question of, how does he speak to Roku?
Right. Yeah.
How does he speak to his past life? You know, and that question is out there. And then obviously they answer it a few episodes later. But
yeah, exactly.
This show really knows how to set things up and then have an answer for it.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't leave you hanging for too long.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
I also really like that when he goes into the avatar state at the temple, it shows the different temples in the different nations lighting up. Like, it shows the earthbenders, it shows the waterbenders, it shows like fire sages being like, oh my god, like, oh, someone tell Ozai.
Send word to the Fire Lord.
Yeah, we
the
got
Avatar's
an avatar.
return.
We got an avatar up in here.
That I would have loved to seen Ozai's reaction.
Yeah.
What? You telling me what?
You mean I actually managed to send my son on a real quest?
He's actually gonna get his honor back?
Oh shoot, we gotta think of something. Can't have that.
Can't have that.
Yeah, no, I really love that scene with all the statues because it shows how far back all this goes. Like, this world has existed for hundreds of years. Like, there's a lot of history to this world, and I think that's so wonderful and really interesting, honestly, that there's so much in the past that we don't know about.
Right.
You know? We only know. That's a lawnmower.
Yeah, it's the landscape.
The landscapers.
All right, let's hope this doesn't
Sound too weird.
It doesn't leak into the mic.
Yeah, and then we meet Momo.
We see Momo.
I love Momo.
Well, at first they set it up where Momo was the person that Aang was supposed to meet.
Yeah,
when the door
right.
opened, you just see the ears. It's like, and then his music playing. Was it in this episode? They
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah. I tell you, the music is so good. The music is so good. I like Momo.
The best character.
I don't know about the best character.
He is, according to King Boomy.
Yeah.
He was very important. He's very, very important.
I mean, I do love Momo, and he is important. I do.
And the ending. The ending. So the whole time. So the first 3 episodes, every time they brought up the fact that Aang is the last Airbender, that his people hasn't been seen or heard from for the last 100 years, and he was always kind of denying it.
Yeah.
He was denying that realization. It's so great that at the end they had him recognize that. They had him acknowledge that. It's like, okay, he speaks to Momo, he speaks to Appa. He's like, the three of us, we're the last of the Northern Air Temple.
Southern Air Temple.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
We are the last of the Southern Air Temple. We got to stick together.
Yeah.
It's like the first 3 episodes, he's just kind of just like, you know, like, nah, it's cool. Like, we're going to get there. We're going to see them flying and everything's going to be all right. But he really accepted it, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, you see the ramifications of that later on. You see, you know, him, you know, expect things of the world that don't exist anymore, especially as he goes to the other nations. You know, and that's why I think, like, he cares about Momo and Appa so much, because just like him, they're the last, ostensibly, of their kinds. And You know, they have to stick together because they're the last remnants of airbending, you know?
He really rides for them.
Yeah.
And I guess jumping ahead just one more time, when in book 3, when Sokka asks to borrow Momo,
Yeah.
and Aang gets so like defensive about like, why do you want to borrow Momo?
Yeah.
At first I was like, why is that such a bad thing? How come he can't borrow Momo? Like he's just Momo.
Yeah, he's just
but
Momo.
Thinking about this, the fact that what you just said, like, you know, they got to stick together, and he's really protective of both Appa and Momo.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah.
And then back to Zhao and Zuko.
Yeah, with the Agni Kai.
The Agni Kai, our first Agni Kai.
Yeah, our first Agni Kai.
And Zuko, it was a good battle.
It was a good fight,
It was a
yeah.
good fight.
Especially once Zuko kind of remembered the breath of fire that he has that Iroh like always hammers in, and it comes in handy a lot later. So many times does breath of fire come in. And it makes me think that breath of fire isn't really a very what's the word? It makes me think that like breath of fire isn't like super well known as a technique.
I mean, we've come to know that Iroh comes up with his own techniques and his own maneuvers.
Yeah.
Like only Iroh knows how to deflect lightning.
Yeah.
How to return it.
Yeah,
you know?
and he does the whole like, this is why I'm called the Dragon of the West thing, and so I think, you know, Zuko's breath of fire is a really interesting idea because it seems like something that like Uncle Iroh taught him and no one else really does, but it helps him. It really helps him, and you know, the Agni Kai is so, like I said, the fights in this show are so well done because not only are they just entertaining to watch, but they also show character. And we see how Zhao is kind of like very cocky and, you know, headstrong, and he's very like offensive and like he thinks so highly of himself. But we see that with one small move, he topples. You know, once Zuko kind of messes up his center of gravity, he topples and he's done. It's over. Like Zuko's able to get him no problem. You know, and then he tries to hit Zuko, you know, after the fight is over, which is very dishonorable.
Very dishonorable.
Yeah.
You should be ashamed,
Yeah.
Admiral Zhao. But
Iroh's like, evil in defeat,
my nephew is more
honorable than you. Yeah.
And I also like how in this episode it is foreshadowed how Zuko got the scar.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, don't you, like when Iroh was like, don't you remember what happened the last time you spoke up against someone of power? And he was
Yeah.
like, I will never forget. And
Yeah.
it goes to the scar. It's like, who did that to you?
Yeah. Right.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here, man?
But you know what's interesting? Zuko still hasn't learned his lesson.
Essentially, yeah.
Because when he's talking to Zhao about like, you know, his father's plans, he goes like, my father is a fool. And it's like, Zuko, did you not learn that you shouldn't do that? But he doesn't. Even in the beginning, he still has a lot of like, I think, disdain for his father, which rightfully so. But like you'd imagine that someone who, you know, suffered the way that Zuko did at the hands of his father, you know, spoiler, would be very deferential to him.
And it's not only that, it goes back to what you were saying, how like they always showed that Zuko has some type of goodness in him. And I just feel like that's just his natural act of speaking out against evil.
Yeah.
No, he just can't help it.
Yeah.
Like, anytime he hears something that's evil, he sees something that's evil, he speaks out.
Yeah.
He just can't control it.
Oh yeah, I definitely see that.
And that's just struggle within him.
Yeah.
For like the first few.
He exactly, and I just love that like Zhao getting his ass handed to him by a 16-year-old. Gotta love it.
Boom.
Gotta love it.
I like how when they walk away, and Zuko's like, "Did you really mean what you said, Uncle?" And he was like, "Of course." The service here was so great.
Ginseng is my favorite
It's
tea.
my favorite tea.
I love Iroh so much. Yeah, you really see, I think, you know, a lot of Zuko here, and it's not bad what you see. Like, yeah, he's kind of annoying, and he's a bit of a drama queen, and he can be a little rude, but I think we're seeing the seeds of freaking landscapers. We're seeing the seeds of a good kid who is just in a really, really bad situation. And I think that's really good writing. I think that's, like you said, excellent foreshadowing. You know? What else? No, that's about it. We talked about, like... I also really like like you were saying, the ending of the episode. When Aang has to say goodbye. Because, again, it brings up the idea of the silence. I mean, there is music in that part, like background music. But the whole scene of Aang, like, riding on Appa's back, and the clouds are slowly covering the turrets of the air temple, and him kind of saying goodbye, and, like, Momo's right there. It's really sad, you know?
Yes.
Because, I mean, obviously, after the show, he might go back to the air temple. I don't know his life story. Maybe they talk about it in Korra, but in terms of, like, where he traveled afterwards. But for all intents and purposes, this is the last time he's ever going to be at home.
Right.
You know, his home is gone now. And, oh, it's just so sad. Like, it's really sad.
It is.
You know, but, you know, there is hope, and Aang is hope. And I think you can obviously see that. And I love this show so much.
We could talk about this for
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah, it's so good. It really, really is so good. And
Quick side note: when I first heard Zuko's voice, and this was when I started actually paying attention to voice actors and voices and everything and recognizing them.
yeah,
When I heard Zuko, I was all like, because I was late to the Avatar game too. Like I didn't immediately start watching it. My cousin actually put me onto it.
oh cool.
And at first, it seemed like this fun little kiddie show because obviously with the intro when he's on the scooter,
Yeah.
yeah, and then ooh,
And he bumps the
I used, that intro used to kill me. So when I first heard Zuko's voice, I was like, oh my god, that's American Dragon Jake Long. That's the AM drag of the NYC.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, you're right. That was Dante Vasco. Yeah.
Dante is great.
Yeah, he's good. That's yeah, that's so funny. Jake Long. I love that. Oh
I'm
man.
the Mac Daddy Dragon of the NYC. You heard? and I'm just like thinking of Zuko saying all this. And also thinking of Jake saying all this. I'm like, why is Jake so serious? Why is Zuko so silly?
Yeah. Oh man. I see, for me, I knew about American Dragon Jake Long, like when I was watching it recently. But when I heard Zuko's voice, I was like, is that Rufio from Hook? Because that's Dante Basco was in Hook, and that was his character. And so that's why I was like, oh my gosh, it's that guy.
What's Hook?
Okay.
This is going to be a running joke.
Side tangent. So Hook is a Robin Williams movie. Basically, it is about this man. He is Peter Pan, but he's grown up. He's an adult now. And he basically, when he grew up, he forgot all about Neverland. And as an adult, he goes back to Neverland and he defeats Captain Hook one more time. And Dante Basco plays a lost boy. He plays Rufio. Because it's not Disney really. It's more like based on the book Peter Pan. But it's a cute movie. It's very much it's fun, you know, and Captain Hook is like a scene stealer. I believe it's who plays Captain Hook in that movie? The guy from The Graduate. Shoot. Oh, I feel terrible. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I mean, like, I'm sure someone listening is going to be like, ew, it's this guy. But it's a cute movie if you ever get a chance to see it. But yeah, Dante Basco's in it.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I knew him. But yeah, it's such a good show. And I think the voice acting is so well done. And, you know, especially for like Aang, who the voice actor was like, I mean, most of the voice actors for the kids were kids, but like.
It was Pablo. From
Yeah.
The Backyardigans.
Yeah, but wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh, how cute.
Never watched The Backyardigans?
No, I do know the Backyardigans. Wait, I'm like hearing the song in my head.
Dun, dun. I'm Pablo. I'm unique.
You're right. That is the same kid. Oh wow, good for him. No, but despite being like a kid doing the voice acting, I think he manages to do a really good job of like showcasing different emotions.
Yes.
So props to him. Also, it's so funny to me because like the show, like especially the third episode, ends kind of sad. Like they're flying away from the temple, and it's kind of sad. It's a little melancholy, and then it goes do 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 for
Right
the
after.
credits. Do 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 do. And that's the credits for every episode.
Except for the ending.
Yeah. But like I just think it's so funny. They're like, "Oh, were you in a mood? We're going to change it."
Whatchamacallit? No, but it does end on a pretty lighthearted note, because even though he lost his people, they fly away. And is this the one where Sokka, Katara, where they hug him?
Yeah,
and that's how they fly away now.
Yeah, they're like, "We're your family.
We're your family now."
Yeah.
So it was a bit lighthearted. Still sad, but lighthearted.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the underlying themes of the show is the idea of love and friendship and family.
Right.
Because the friendships that these characters make and these connections that these characters make carry the show. I mean, the things that happen in the show wouldn't be able to happen if they weren't friends. You know, they literally could not have defeated the Fire Nation if they hadn't been friends with all of the people that they were friends with. So I think the idea that they are a family and they're in this together and they love and care about each other is so important and so wonderful. It's such a wonderful message to see in a TV show. And obviously kids shows tend to fall that way. They tend to be very like ooey gooey, like friendship is magic and friendship saves the world. But I think that's such an important message.
It is.
And it never is old and it's never tired. And especially like right now in our current like political climate and like our current global climate with everything that's going on, like to watch a show like Avatar, like to for me to have like, you know, sat in my room and watched Avatar and see the way that people can come together and love and hope and defeat evil through hard work and determination, but through compassion is just, oh, it's so amazing.
It is.
It really is. Oh, it's such a good show. It's not a perfect show, but it's a damn good one.
Yes, it is.
You know.
Oh wait, you have some flaws. You found some flaws.
Yeah, and I mean, we will definitely talk about them as we get to those episodes.
So nothing in the first 3.
I mean, I think the first episode, the animation was a little weird because it's like the first episode, but no, not really. Nothing that my issues with the show are a little more overarching. So when we kind of get to those points, I'll definitely discuss them. But yeah, I mean, but no show is perfect. And I don't think it would be fair to kind of say that Avatar is perfect because then there's no room for criticism. And I think criticism is important.
Yes, it is.
And, you know, and I'm not saying I'm going to criticize to like
just
tell people it's terrible and not to watch it. But I think it's important to criticize things. But even with its flaws, it's still an amazing show. You know.
Years later.
Yeah, years later. It holds up. It really, really does. It really holds up. You know.
There's a reason why people keep going back to it.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
All right, and that's episode 1.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think we finished our first podcast episode.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. This is so exciting.
It is.
I wonder what people are going to say. I hope they like it.
I hope they like it too. Yeah, I hope they like it too.
Yeah. So we are going to be putting this on YouTube for your watching pleasure. There will be a video. Hi. But also we are going to be putting this on Anchor. And I believe that Anchor has a way to like put it on Spotify and iTunes.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to cost anything. I think it's free for everybody. I'm not planning on charging anybody. We'll cut this if we change it. But yeah, so this is exciting. Tell us what you think. And we'll see you guys soon.